Welcome to the Well-Connected Communities module that's on creating a culture of health. I'm Michelle Rogers. I'm the project director for the Creating a Culture of Health initiative that's a combination of the Cooperative Extension working together with National 4-H Council. And we are very excited to meet with you today and share with you this exciting initiative and how you can be a part of it. This project and initiative is supported by Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, which is the largest philanthropic organization focused on health that's in our country, and we're delighted to be supported by them in this endeavor. So what is a culture of health? What does that look like, and how do we get there? And that's what we're talking about in today's module. I'd like to share with you a video because I think a picture says 1,000 words about what that is. Take a look at this video now and see if you can see yourself in this video, in this community, and things and opportunities that you might participate in as a volunteer.
8 communities. 8 stories of hope and inspiration. For healthier people, families, and places. 8 communities defining health as a shared value.
Everyone's mission is aligning and we're all moving in the right direction.
There's a shared responsibility to make the community better.
You weave these elements together and then you've got a culture of health.
And when we do that, that's when change begins to happen.
By working together to build economic prosperity and ensure safety.
We're calling everyone who joins us a community wealth builder.
The better we train our workforce, the better they're going to be able to adapt to changing society.
We are looking at affordable housing. We are looking at education and job readiness.
We want to hear how the community wants us to police them.
By harnessing the collective power of partners and community members.
Our most valuable asset is our culture of collaboration.
We need to be bringing residents into our conversations and our decision-making process.
Collaboration across the sectors in the community has been critical.
By encouraging the next generation of leaders to drive change.
Where do you get new ideas from? You get new ideas from your youth.
Grooming young leaders is one of our #1 goals. We've learned that our youth is really a catalyst for change.
These children are capable of great things.
And by creating equal opportunity for every person to fulfill their potential and thrive.
We believe deeply in inclusivity, and we want to include every sector of the community.
It really is one person at a time. Every person makes a huge difference.
Solutions to community problems have to come from the community itself.
The 8 Culture of Health Prize communities for 2017 are turning this vision into action.
Could you see yourself doing some of the activities that you just saw in that video? I think that's a great pictorial description about creating a culture of health, and that's what we really want to talk about today. I'd now like to introduce to you Monica Hodgson-Lewin. She is the Senior Program Officer with Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and working with us on this project, and she will share now more about understanding and defining this culture of health.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate the introduction as well as the opportunity to have a conversation with you all today. I've been asked to provide a little bit of an overview about what we mean at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation when we talk about a culture of health and how that is very much connected to this work with well-connected communities. In 2014, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary declared culture its word of the year because people use it in very different ways. It can mean art and music. It can mean history and heritage, but basically it boils down to this. Culture is how we do things. It's how we do things within our families, within our communities, within our workplaces, and how we do things together as a nation. When we at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation talk about building a culture of health, it means recognizing that health is an essential part of everything we do. Now, as you may already know, RWJF has spent the past 40 years working with people to take on the major health and healthcare issues of our time. So what's different now? What is a culture of health, and why do we need one? Consider this. Culture filters every aspect of our everyday life. It's about what we think and feel and care about. It's about how we learn and teach. It's about how we relate to one another. Now, picture of being as healthy as you can be was part of our everyday culture, baked right into the very core of our American existence. What if claiming, reclaiming, or sustaining health was a priority for everyone, no matter how much you earn, where you live, what you do, or where you come from? That's what we mean by a culture of health. And we are striving to build a national culture of health that will enable all of us to live longer, healthier lives now and for generations to come. Now, we know this is a big, diverse country made up of people who define health in many different ways. For some, it might mean running a marathon once a year. For others, it may mean being able to ride their bikes to school on safe streets. But for all of us, it should mean going to see a doctor who asks about our lives, what our lives are like outside of the clinic, as well as how we're feeling that day. It could also be about knowing our kids are getting nutritious food at school and getting a chance to be active someplace safe and accessible. Health means something different to each of us, but we all know one thing for sure. Being as healthy as we can be leads us to more productive, prosperous lives. And that is something we should all value. Good health gives people the opportunity to be their best, to fulfill their potential, and to thrive in an environment that supports their goals for themselves and their families. Good health fuels our economy. It helps make businesses more competitive today and tomorrow. It keeps our military prepared to defend our interests at home and abroad. Caring about health helps build neighborhoods and cities with green space and public transportation. It could also mean reducing violence. In today's America, too many people's health is tied to how much money they make, how much school they've completed, and the neighborhoods they live in. People's health has a lot to do with the individual decisions they make, that's for sure. But the choices that we make are based on the choices that we have. Our health and well-being is often unduly and unequally influenced by income, education, ethnicity, and zip code. And those repercussions are felt across our nation. We must embrace a more integrated, comprehensive approach to health, one that is strengthened by the perspectives, ideas, and creativity of many. Every one of you on this call and in this training has tackled pieces of this complicated puzzle. But if we are really to tackle these challenges, it will require individuals, institutions, and industries to think and work differently, both together and on their own. So I ask you this. What if we all agree to stop defining health in this country as simply not being sick? What if we work together to get others, especially those whose roles aren't as obvious, to see how we're all connected to health? What would it look like if everyone in America realized that health is everything? What role can Extension play in bringing in new partners, helping to define health broadly, and providing the tools and resources to allow community members to live their healthiest life possible? We at RWJF know that Extension already plays a critical role in health and well-being of so many in this country. We are excited to be a partner with you and to continue to expand our work together, to reach those that we have not yet reached, and to engage new partners in new ways. We must embrace a more integrated and comprehensive approach. We know that we could do this together. We also know that in order to be healthy, everyone must have a fair and just opportunity. The challenges that we have in our communities look different as all of our communities. We also know that in order to achieve our culture of health and to make sure that it is a reality for all, we have to also be leveraging and looking at those opportunities to promote fairness and justice for all. RWJF is working to build a culture of health where everyone has the opportunity to live a healthier life. As I already mentioned, we recognize and acknowledge that personal responsibility plays a role in health. But as I've also said, that the choices we make depend on the choices we have available to us. If you take a look at this image, this helps to describe the differences between what equality is and equity is. In an equality frame, everyone gets the same bicycle. But what if people have different needs and different requirements for the type of bike that they need? So as you see in the bottom of this slide, you'll see that equity is really about understanding where people are coming from, understanding the unique needs they have, and making sure that everyone has a fair and just opportunity to go where they want to go. A culture shift is going to take us hundreds, maybe thousands of moments in time. Building a culture of health will take unprecedented collaboration. Everyone has a role to play. We need to keep working to change our culture into one that values health, promoting, sustaining, and safeguarding it everywhere for everyone. That's why RWJF is working with communities, policymakers, businesses, and others willing to find ways to advance this movement. Building a culture of health calls for action within and across sectors because progress in one area will advance progress in another. The good news is that as a nation, we are recognizing that we need to change directions. We've started to look for new roads, ones that will broaden our concept of health and lead us to better and more integrated ways of improving it. We've created an action framework to translate our big vision of a culture of health into specific measurable benchmarks that show how everyone has a role to play to help catalyzing change on the ground. The framework is run into 4 interconnected action areas that show health and well-being as the sum of many parts. Now, rather than serving as a rigid blueprint, this action framework is intended to invite individuals, organizations, and communities to see how their goals and priorities align with the goals of others. It illustrates how we intend to work alongside of others in the natural effort to build a culture of health and how different sectors can mobilize and measure progress. I invite you to think about the work that you're doing and to think about which action area your work is mostly focused on, as well as what areas and action activities you can take on to really address all 4 action areas. Because again, as I said, it's the sum of these action areas that we're going to be able to promote equity and improve population health. So I hope that this conversation has helped provide a little bit more of understanding about what a culture of health is and some of the various ways that you and your community colleagues can really engage in helping to create a culture of health. I invite you to follow me on Twitter. I tend to post a lot of information about work that's going on at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, as well as additional funding opportunities. So thank you very much, and I will turn it back over to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Monica, for that further definition about the culture of health and how we might see ourselves involved in this project to help define the culture of health in our communities. We envision a future where we have a community-based partnership that is creating vital local conditions of health, where children are achieving more throughout school and in their life, where adults are productive and thriving, and where community members enjoy equitable opportunities and equitable prosperity. That's what we're trying to accomplish in this initiative. I'm excited to have Cooperative Extension and National 4-H Council involved in this partnership because we are very uniquely positioned, I believe, to do this work. We have a long history in Cooperative Extension of working with both youth and adult volunteers together to extend the knowledge and training that we have at our land-grant universities. We have an excellent core of volunteers who have led our 4-H program over the years, who have been involved in our Master Gardener program, our Master Stewardship. We have Master Food Educators. We've had a number of Master volunteer programs. Today, we're introducing and being a part of the Master Well-Connected Community Volunteers. Cooperative Extension has long been known for our translational science work, where we bring the work and the research of the university to the people in the local community, making real the science and the new knowledge and bringing it into communities in ways that they can use the information. And you may or may not be aware that Cooperative Extension has a very expansive reach. We are in every state in the country, connected through the land-grant universities, and serving all the communities, counties, or parishes across the state. Our capacity that we hope to build through this project is about driving community-based health and well-being. That we really want to grow some cross-sector partnerships that are going to execute place-based policies and programs and practices that are going to impact your community and your sense of health and well-being. This will be community-driven and community decision-making that's involved. We also want to build the capacity to really engage our youth leadership. We know that peer-to-peer mentoring is helpful, whether it's youth or adult. But we have a long history of engaging our youth for our 4-H program. We'd like to further equip our youth leaders to bring their skills and their innovative spirit, their moral clarity, and help our adults and community partners be a healthier generation. And finally, we'd like to build the capacity to transform our cooperative extension system. We'd like to harness all of our skills and abilities and align them and focus our immense assets of cooperative extension to work together on health and well-being across the country. Cooperative Extension will be the primary anchor institution for our nation's health and well-being as we step into this initiative for the future. So, where do you fit in? Well, as I think you can see from the conversation we've had about culture of health, from the video of the prize community, that there are many ways and a broad definition about what this culture of health is. And there are many opportunities for you to be involved in many different aspects. Getting to know your community, your county health rankings, and what work is already being done in your community is a starting place. Joining your community coalition and being involved in that work and the needs that are being identified and establishing a project plan for your community is all part of that. You may tie in at many different places through this process involving your interests and those of the community that you're working with. So there are many, many places for you to fit in, and we're excited to have your interest. As you explore culture of health further and come to greater understanding of that, we want you to know that there are many resources beyond this module that you can go to. There is a URL that you see on the screen, and in that URL, you will find many different resources that are about culture of health, helping you further understand it and define it as you work with others. So I hope you'll make use of those through our e-extension platform for well-connected communities, and that resource pod will be able to help you with that. Thank you for being a part of this module on creating culture of health. We are excited for your involvement, and we're excited to have you be a part of this process.